Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. And today I'm going to talk about the games that happened tonight. Specifically, I want to focus on the Lakers Bucks game because that was like the big ticket item on tonight's slate. I'll start real quick, talk about the Knicks Warriors game and the Jazz Pelicans game. With the Jazz Pelicans game, it was kind of just a mismatch. The Jazz are really, really good. The Pelicans have a lot of talent, but they aren't nearly as good as they should be. They play a play style where they slow it down and kind of grind things to a halt to try and improve their defense, and then they're a terrible defensive team. I don't really understand their philosophy. Stan Van Gundy has not impressed me so far as their coach. I think a team with this roster where you have a great passer in Lonzo Ball, who has been proven to, when you give him a player like a Zion Williamson, he can kind of get like they should run it like the Lakers ran it before Lonzo got traded to the Pelicans, where Zion plays that LeBron role where he runs the court, he catches fast break dunks, Lonzo initiates the offense. It should just be like that, and it's not. They play slow, which is not at all what this roster is built for. They're all super young, so they should outrun teams. Adams has been proven to work decent in fast-paced offenses with a point guard like Russell Westbrook, because Adams will run the floor. He'll grab offensive boards, even if you shoot it early. He's good at getting in that position quickly, and I just don't think that this roster is being used correctly. Pieces don't fit. If you want to hear more about the Pelicans, you can go watch my video on the Pelicans I put out a couple days ago. Jazz side of the ball, Jazz are just really good. Donovan Mitchell played incredibly tonight. They're on a 7-game win streak now, and they are, I believe, now second in the West or tied with the Clippers for second in the West. They've been really impressive, and I think that they deserve a lot of credit. Quinn Snyder's a great coach. Donovan Mitchell's really picked it up in the second half of this first quarter of the season. So I guess the second eighth of the season. Rudy Gobert is playing decent. The whole team's just kind of clicking right now, and if they continue to click like this, I wouldn't want to play them if I'm one of those contenders out west. Knicks Warriors. Things really turned for this Warriors team when Draymond Green got ejected in this game. The reason he got ejected is very unclear, kind of. It looked like he was kind of just yelling at James Wiseman and got a second technical, which got him ejected. That really turned the game around. The Warriors could not get stops after that. RJ had 28. Great game for RJ. Mitchell Robinson had a good game. Julius Randle put up around a triple-double, which is what he's kind of been doing regularly. This Knicks team's been impressive, and I think Tom Thibodeau, we were just talking about a coach who hasn't really used his roster correctly. I think Tom Thibodeau is using this Knicks roster really well, letting Julius Randle kind of initiate offense a lot of the time. They're a team without a great point guard. The best point guard on the roster is Elfrid Payton, and he's just not a great player at this point. So I think he's doing a good job of utilizing the roster. The Knicks have definitely impressed. I don't think anyone thought they would be this good, or at least I didn't think they would be this good to start the season. Shout out to Tom Thibodeau. Shout out to that roster. Warriors side of things, Wiseman had a good game. Like I said, Draymond got ejected, and they sorely missed his defense in that the later part of the game after he did get ejected. Curry had 30. Curry played really well. He played really well, but he kind of struggled from three, just efficiency-wise, he wasn't great. But like I said, he was doing with an ejection of one of the team's better players. So, this Warriors team that just beat the Lakers now lost by 15 to the Knicks. So, kind of shows you how the season's going, where any team can win on any given night, it seems like. Then we get to the game that I really want to talk about, and the one that references the title of this video. I mainly want to talk about how LeBron is still the best player in the world, even at age 36. I'll start with the Bucks side of things. Giannis didn't have a great game. He put up pretty good numbers for him. He had like 25 and 10, but he had 7 turnovers in the first half. Just didn't really look like himself. He looked very unsure. He settled for a lot of bad mid-range jumpers that he doesn't need to. He's Giannis. He should get into the paint. He should attack. I like that he's trying to expand his game with that 3-point shot. It's just not falling. He had an air ball today. He has an air ball about once a game, and I think eventually as he keeps shooting them, he might find more success, but as he's learning to become a better shooter, there's going to be a lot of growing pains, especially for a player who is very used to kind of just running, dunking. I don't want to say that because Giannis is much more skilled than that, but a guy who is able to navigate the paint and get a shot on anyone just because he's a freak athlete. It's going to be tough for him to learn how to shoot, and I think right now his shot selection is just pretty poor. He also had a couple plays where he would just run into people. He ended up fouling out because I think he had like 2 or 3 charges. Not a great look. Additionally, for the Bucks, Mike Budenholzer's rotations confused the hell out of me. He had Giannis out with 5 minutes left to go. I mean, he came back in around like the 4-minute and 30-second mark, I think, in the fourth quarter. But you can't have Giannis out at that point in the game. You should be able to build into your rotation a time for him to exit the game prior to that so he can rest up, and in those last 5 minutes, he's there for your team. I don't know. It was just confusing. On the Lakers side of the ball, also for the Bucks, this Lakers team very much exposed their inability to guard the three-point line. KCP had 7 threes. LeBron had 6. That's 13 between 2 players. You can't have that. It was just not a good showing for them. Guys like, I feel like Torrey Craig has just been forgotten on that roster. I'm pretty sure he actually tweeted out after the game today, like an emoji. I think it was like a laughing emoji or something. I don't know why Torrey Craig's not getting used more. He feels like a perfect player to help try and fix that perimeter defense problem. And yet, Budenholzer's playing guys like Pat Connaughton a ton of minutes, who I know Bucks fans aren't super fond of. I just don't think Mike Budenholzer's the answer for the Bucks at the coaching position, but I don't think that they can fire him at this point. The time to fire him was this offseason, and they didn't go through with it. Finally, we get to the Lakers side of thing. What I really want to talk about, LeBron James is still the best player in the world. It was proven tonight, I think, or tonight I think it shows a little bit. I'm not trying to overreact. I don't think this is an overreaction to call LeBron the best player in the world, because I think he just is. He had 38 tonight, or not 38, apologize. He had 34, that was what I was looking for, 34 and 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Like I said, he had 6 threes. He had 1 3 where he did this earlier in the season, but he like turned around and looked at the bench. This time he turned around, he shot it from like the hash mark, looked over at his bench and held up the 3 like that, and it just went down. LeBron's incredible. Anthony Davis didn't play particularly well tonight, neither did Dennis Schroeder. Montrezl Harrell struggled a lot defensively, but it didn't matter because LeBron was getting everyone involved. He was getting everyone set up. Every time it seemed like the Bucks were making a run, LeBron was there to stop the bleeding. He was there to hit a timely turnaround jumper that he has pretty much perfected at this point. Every time LeBron shoots that turnaround mid-range jumper, I expect it to go in, which is kind of crazy because I feel like a lot of his career, the big knock on LeBron was his inability to shoot, and now it feels like he's become like an entirely different version of LeBron, like the same LeBron, but a different LeBron in that, like normally he's been more playmaking focused, and when he does take shots, he takes a lot of those deep threes, he takes those turnaround mid-range jumpers. It's just cool to see that LeBron is continuing to evolve his game as he gets older. It's always been a shot he can hit, but I feel like ever since he like killed Toronto in the playoffs in 2018 with that turnaround mid-range jumper, I feel like ever since that series he's just been using it a lot more, and he's perfected it at this point. Giannis, when compared to LeBron, like Giannis is a top 5 player, but when you compare him to LeBron and just the ability of LeBron to command all aspects of the game, especially defensively, LeBron looks locked in defensively this season, which I think is something that's kind of new because he's been decent defensively the past few seasons, but he doesn't look like the locked in LeBron that we had seen in a lot of years past. This year, though, it looks like LeBron is fully locked in defensively. He's got like a swagger to him. I think it's coming off that championship run. It seems like he knows what he's capable of. I mean, I know he is. He's LeBron. But he knows what this team is capable of, and he knows how good they are. So he's being cocky. He's kind of got this swagger to him, which is kind of cool to see. He's just been really, really good. And I think that as long as LeBron continues to play like this, the Lakers are definitely the favorites to come out of the West. Coming out of the NBA Finals as champions is another question, because while you could have this Bucks team, this could be an NBA Finals matchup preview, which I would kind of like to see because these are 2 pretty good teams. And I think that the idea of Giannis trying to take the crown from LeBron could be a cool angle to go into the NBA Finals with. But they're going to have to get through that Nets team, and I don't know if this current iteration of the Bucks can get through that Nets team unless they shore up on the perimeter defense side of things, because when you have 3 premier elite offensive talents on the Brooklyn Nets and Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, then I don't know how you're supposed to be able to stop them if the Bucks can't stop Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, although Rob Pelinka did one time compare KCP to the to God giving bread to the Israelites in the book of Genesis. If you haven't seen that video, go look it up. It was pretty funny. But this Lakers team just looks different. They're really, really good. I think that when you have a player like LeBron, you have to be the favorite out West, and I guess just depending on how that Nets team kind of clicks, I don't see, unless they click, I don't see this Lakers team going into the finals as anything other than the favorites. With that being said, I appreciate you guys listening. I hope you liked what I had to say. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, stuff like that, and I will see you guys later. Real one, say back.